to go through is about the performance, academic performance indicators, and then we will look into the different tables. How do we fill up those tables? How do we perform those calculations? We will go into the detail of most of them, barring the senior professor level. Otherwise, all the others we will try to cover, both for the case of direct recruitment and the case of career advancement scheme. The outline of my talk will be about the performance appraisal system, the indicators that we are having, the key performance indicators in the case of universities and colleges for teachers. Then we will talk about the different categories in which the APIs are calculated and how do we calculate the assessment system. And if the time permits, we will talk about the minimum requirement and the shortlisting criteria for interview, which is proposed by UGC. So coming to the basics of the appraisal system, this is about a decade or more old scheme which has been proposed by UGC. Although this was existing in other private industries as well. But in the universities in India, this was actually proposed in 2010, and then we are having this appraisal. The assessment of the performance, and this gives us an opportunity that if we assess our own performance, then we will be in a position to improve upon wherever we are lacking. And if we get the overall performance of our own department, then probably we will be in a better position to look into where the department in general is lacking, and we can talk about the overall future development of the department. Also, it is useful for promotion, for which everybody is over here, because this is a mandatory sort of course, which is a part we will be talking about. So we do have certain points over here which will be helpful in assessment and then further promotion. But the basic objective of these assessments should be that it should be fair and equitable. That is very important. And it should be focused on the improving the teaching and learning environment in a university or college. It should not be taken as a rating of the teaching or a specific teacher. So this should be linked to the professional development and the future targets to be set. That is very important. It should have positive impact in the entire teaching learning process of the university or colleges. Now, if we talk about the positive outcomes of this process that we do annually, with this we can actually identify our strengths or weaknesses. For example, if I am filling up the form and annually, I will know that whether I am supervising any PhD student or whether I have published some paper this year or not. So based upon this, I will actually know my own strength and weaknesses of the current year, and I may target to improve upon those things in future. So it will be helpful in personal development, and sometimes it is helpful in when you are having a positive feedback from your colleagues, from your students, then it gives you a work satisfaction that you have performed your duties well. And of course, this is helpful, as I told you, in salary and promotion. But the negative points are also there, that this process of filling up of those forms should not be very much time consuming. And it should not be subject to biases and errors. UGC has tried to remove or reduce these biases and errors, but still they will be present. For example, if a university is in a metro city and a university is in a remote place, then over there it is a problem that you may have poor infrastructure, and therefore the research outcome may not be that much. Although the API says it is uniformly for the minimum requirement, but it has been taken care of by putting those limits, taking into consideration the maximum and the minimum dynamic range of each of those. Then the timing is also very important. We should not have these API calculation or the assessment, as in the case of industries, very frequent. We do have annual assessment, so that is better. Should not be stressful, and it should not become a popularity contest. For example, if I am trying to teach a specific course and I assess those students by making a paper which is very simple, very easy, and then I get good feedback from the students or good result, this should be avoided. So we should not have a popularity contest based upon that my API is better, or I am publishing more, but the journal quality may not be that good. So these things should be taken care of. Sometimes it may be taken as some negative things from the administrative point of view. The administrator may not use these API points to uh, corner some of those faculty members. So these are the negatives that are there. As far as the teaching is concerned, I would request all the participants to mute their mic, please.
साक्षी मैम माइक म्यूट कीजिए प्लीज.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. So the first thing in the colleges and the university is teaching, and teaching quality is one of the most important thing that needs to be assessed. But the problem with the teaching quality is we don't have any objective measure for the quality of teaching. It is subjective based upon the students, and if you are teaching in a specific class, you will find that some students have got one best teacher, the others will be saying that the other one is the best teacher. So it is not a uniform thing, and it cannot be used in the API as an objective measure. Therefore, you will not find the quality of teaching as any parameter in those API which have been proposed by UGC. It is possible that a person is in good book of the administration, so the quality assessment he may give good, but it may be vice versa or reverse for the other person as well. So this has not been used as a academic performance indicator. Research is, of course, a quantitative thing where you may have certain research projects. You may be supervising students for PhD or dissertation. You may be publishing books, research books. So all these things can be accounted for, and therefore these are there in the API. Consultancy is again a sort of involvement of a teacher in the community development or industry institute relationship. So this is also taken into API. If a person is active in research in his area, then he may be offered membership or fellowship of various professional national bodies. So that also gives an indication that a person is renowned and he has been selected for various fellowships. So fellowship and all those things are also included. Another very important thing is that how much concern a teacher is about the students, whether you are taking remedial classes, whether you are involved in the co-curricular activities along with the students, or whether you are updating yourself in terms of the qualification, or you are getting a new training, or because of the development in the ICT, whether you have upgraded your knowledge in terms of ICT or not. So these things are also important, and mentoring and counseling, uh, these are also a carrying point in the new API system. Uh, Another emphasis which have been now from the government of India is the education policy that we are having, in which more public engagement is required. So if a teacher is only contributing to the university or college, or the knowledge that he has got is being diffused in the society also, for general public, for the betterment of the society, if that is the case, so these things are also as a positive point included in these APIs. So if I go through the brief review, the UGC regulation started 2010, then some modification in 13, 16, and the latest one in 18. And the 18 one had got probably 4 amendments. This website which is being mentioned over here, if you go through this website, you will get the link of all those amendments that have been made to the 2018 regulation, some of which we will be covering, but some of the amendments are very trivial, which we will not touch upon. As I told you, that assessment is required because we want to improve upon the quality. We want to have better knowledge dissipation to the students so that they are ready for the, excuse me. So that they are ready for the future, and they are having skills and they can be employed in their future jobs. So assessment will be helpful in attaining all these objectives. I won't go into the details of these objectives that are there, but very important thing is that it helps us to identify our own weaknesses, and we can then go for training or upgradation in the area where we are having those weaknesses or where we are lacking. When assessment of any institution or university college is good, then of course it is helpful and it attracts good quality teachers also. So it gives a sort of feedback to the society that the quality of the institution is good, and based upon that we have got good faculty members and good students are also attracted. So it improves upon the overall development within the society also, and this helps in to create an example for other institutions to follow the footsteps. If we look into the different categories of assessment, there are major 3 categories. One is the teaching, learning, and evaluation. So it will be talking about the lectures that we take, or the tutorial or the practical classes that we engage, the innovative method or the new method that we use during the teaching process. All those things should be documented. We'll talk about those things. And then creation of contents, new content that you have developed. You have developed some online resources or e-resources. There's a lot of emphasis on online and e-resources as well. So this is all related to teaching, learning, and evaluation. Then the other category is professional development, co-curricular and extension activities. So you participate in a workshop, conferences, or you organize workshop on conferences. You act as a resource person or deliver invited lectures, or you collaborate with the community and go for some outreach program, have some extracurricular activities of the students so that they help the society in general. So if these activities are there under this particular category. Then the third category is the research and academic publications. that a person has or a teacher has. So journal publication, UGC approved journals, then the impact factor, research projects, book chapters, and guiding research. These are under this particular category. We'll go into the details of this later on. Now, coming to the recruitment, we all know that there are two possibilities. One is the direct recruitment, and the other is the promotion through the career advancement scheme. So we will talk about both of them. Direct recruitment is usually at, or is actually at three levels. One is the assistant professor, associate professor, and the professor level. The level is shown over there, and then the AGP as well. 10, 13A, and 14. Then under the different levels, we may have career advancement scheme as well. So this is the entire chart which is shown over here. In this table, the red marks which is there is actually for the direct recruitment. And of course, at the entry level, it is always direct recruitment. But after that, at 13 and 14, we can have direct recruitment as well as promotion. So these are the different levels that are there. Condition for direct recruitment at level 10 entry level, which is assistant professor, minimum 55% marks at the PG level or equivalent grade on the grade point scale, but there may be some concession of 5% about the reserve categories and national eligibility test, state level eligibility test, or a person may have PhD with minimum standard norms which was specified by the UGC in 2009, or if a person is having a PhD from some international university outside India, then it should be top ranked universities in the QS ranking or the Times Higher ranking. Regarding the PhD condition, whenever a person is applying, this certificate, which is given by the registrar or dean of academic affairs, is required. That is, the PhD should be in a regular mode only. Then the evaluation of the thesis must be by at least 2 external examiners. The PhD viva should be an open PhD viva. Then regarding restrictions on the publication is also there, that at least 2 publications from the student should be there or the candidate should be there, out of which 1 must be in the refereed journal. Or the 5th part is that the candidate has presented 2 papers based on her PhD work in conference seminar, which is actually sponsored by some reputed agency or government agency. So if these 5 criteria, this certificate should be given, then it will be considered as a validation of the PhD degree. It is important to note that the publications should be from the thesis itself. It is not that one can have publication of any other work which is not included in the thesis. Of course, the PhD degree, which was mandatory, which has been now removed with some of those new modifications, which was actually propagated in 11th of October 2023, and then it was again UGC gave some more concession in the revised regulation, which was in 2023. That was the second amendment. So these things as can be seen from the link that I have given, or the copy of those things are actually mentioned over here regarding the Gazette notification, the exemptions. There may be some additional requirement for different faculties also for the entrance level. For example, some of those may be specific requirement which have been approved from the Board of Studies of a department, and you may have certain specialization of the post as well. So these things may change from faculty to faculty, but the minimum percentage requirement master's degree is uniform throughout. Equivalence may be sought in some of those cases, that master's degree in business administration, PG, DM, so it has been considered as equivalent to the master's degree. So these things are there in the UGC regulation. Now, in the case of associate professor direct recruitment, that is 13A level, PhD, good academic record, this, but master's degree 55% or equivalent grade, 8 years of teaching or research experience is required, minimum 7 publication in peer-reviewed or UGC listed journal, and the research score of 75. We will talk about the research score later on, how do we calculate, but this is what the requirement is of 75. And of course, the last point is not a very objective measure, but this is contribution to the educational innovation, design of curricula, courses, or technology mediated learning, that is ICT based learning, e-learning, MOOCs courses, all those things. This is again a requirement. Then the professor level, PhD, 10 years of teaching experience at assistant associate professor level, or a person can be from any national research institution or industry also, but 10 publication in peer-reviewed or UGC listed journal, research score of 120, and evidence of successfully guided a doctoral candidate. So this is required for the professor level direct recruitment. These are the stages, different stages. Now, some of the changes that were there made in 2018 is that if a person is not successful in the first assessment, then he or she shall be reassessed only after a year. And in the latest amendment, they have actually mentioned also that 1st of January or 1st of July will be the next promotion date that will be there. So if a person is rejected, then only after a year he will be able to apply. Earlier, this was not the case, but this has been introduced in the new UGC regulation. Then the short-term courses and the long duration courses for the faculty, which is being conducted by the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Mission for Teachers Training. This will be the requirement for the career advancement scheme. We will talk about this again in the subsequent slide. Some important point about the teaching process is 40 hours of engagement per week is required for all the teachers, irrespective of grade, that is assistant professor or professor. And then 5 hours of daily presence in the college or the university is required. 2 hours for mentoring is required, or for the community development program, or 2 hours for research for PhD or PG students. One has to spare this thing. And minimum direct teaching learning process hours is 16 hours for the case of assistant professors, and associate professors and professors it is 14 hours. And there may be a relaxation of 2 hours for people who are involved in some administrative activities. So there may be some relaxation in this teaching load of direct contact. But of course, 40 hours of engagement is must, even for those who are involved in administrative activities. Now, coming to the filling up of the form, the first thing that you have to make sure is the date of eligibility for your promotion, and clubbed with that is the assessment period. What is the assessment period? Whether it is years, how much is that assessment period? You should be sure about that. Then, once you know about the assessment period, the years, then you should take into account the courses that you have taught during those assessment period. You have to collect information about those courses that you have taught. You have to collect information about the administrative responsibilities that you actually performed during that assessment period. All these things should be with proof. For example, if you have taught a specific course, then you may have the minutes of the board of studies that these courses were assigned. You may have maybe a copy of your attendance register, or any other document which shows that you have actually engaged those classes during the assessment period. Administrative responsibilities, the office order will be required as a proof. Have carried out any administrative work will not be sufficient. The proof is a must. Then for each categories, make sure that what is the minimum score that is required and whether you are able to reach that particular score or not. You should look into the publications that you have made of papers, book or book chapters, conference papers, their date of publication, and whether they are in the assessment period or not. If they are in the assessment period, you have to collect all that information about whether the journal was refereed or not, what was the ISBN or ISSN number, what was the impact factor of that particular journal. All those details should be collected. Research project, if you are having any research project during the assessment period, just the sanction of the research project may not be sufficient. If you have submitted some utilization certificate, please attach the utilization certificate along with that. Because sanction of project, sometimes the project has been sanctioned, but it was not actually executed by that particular person. So sanction letter may not be sufficient enough. If you have delivered talks or guided research is required. So all those information proof will be required. Now I am coming to the actual form or the details that are there that we need to fill up. The appendix 2, which is table 1 in the notification, this is related to teaching itself, but it is not about the quality of teaching. It is about how regular we were classes that were assigned to us. So we need to calculate the total number of classes that we have actually engaged divided by the total scheduled classes that were there, and then calculate the percentage. So if we have actually engaged more than 80% of the classes, then a grade will be assigned, which is good. If one has engaged about 70 to 80% in between this range, these classes, then the grade will be satisfactory. If a person actually engages less than 70% of the scheduled classes, then the grade is not satisfactory. It is unsatisfactory, and then there's a problem. That's why it is in red, and the issue will be there. There will be some issue. We'll talk about that. But it is a simple calculation, and the proof will be required. your attendance register will be a proof. Whenever you are filling up the form, please attach the attendance record as well. Sometimes you display the attendance at the end of the session, so that will be sufficient with your sign, and if it is countersigned by your head of the department, it will be better. So you need to attach those details of the number of classes that you have engaged, and it will be required individually for all the courses that you were teaching during the assessment period. So it is equally applicable for lab classes as well. I hope the things are clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now the second activity, again over here grading is there, and we have got 7 points. This is again important, but it is now not directly related to the teaching within the class, but again related to your own department in which you are there. The first point is administrative responsibilities. Maybe head of the department or the chairperson, dean, director, coordinator, or even you may be warden, you may be examination superintendent, or you may be assistant superintendent, or you may be in the proctorial team. So if you are responsibilities during that assessment period, you should actually secure that office order. Year-wise, it is necessary. So if your assessment period is 3 years and you performed certain administrative responsibility for 3 years, please claim this point with those proof. Then the B point is examination and evaluation duties assigned by the college, university, or attending the examination paper evaluation. So the first one, which was administrative responsibility, it is possible that not everybody will be having administrative responsibility. But the second B point, whosoever is teaching is actually going for the examination duty, going for the invigilation, or doing the evaluation, maybe mid-semester evaluation and assessment, quizzes, and all those sort of things. So you are involved in those sort of things. So there must be a copy where you must be assigned as an examiner for that particular course, which will be through your board of studies minutes. Please use that as a proof for the examination or the evaluation process. Or if you are using for the invigilation duties, then you should have a copy which is certifying that you have performed the invigilation duties. Sometimes it has happened that people actually attached the duties which were assigned to them, and the committee questioned that whether you have performed those 10 duties which were assigned or you have performed only 8. So it is better that once you finish up all the invigilation duties, get a certificate from the examination superintendent that duties with date specification. So that will be sufficient to act as a proof. Then the third or the C point is students related co-curricular activities, extension activities. For example, there may be some cultural festival or sports festival in your college, and you are involved or organizing in that, or you are organized or coordinating the NCC or NSS, or you take a tour of the students to your community and do some community services. So please have all these official orders. If you are taking students to some community work, try to have an office order issued from your principal or head of the department so that it can be a proof that you have actually performed those activities and you can claim that. Without proof, you will not be able to claim any one of these. D part is the organization of or you may be organized or any other activity within your college or university. So if you are a convener of that or organizing secretary, then you should have the details of that, because whenever you are having any conference or workshop, then it will always be approved by your board of studies, by your department meeting, and in which it will be mentioned that you are the convener of that particular event. So that will be acting as a proof. Then evidence of actively involved in guiding PhD student. Now, the word actively involved is uh, is important over here, because as soon as the registration takes place, you have got a student maybe, and you are guiding him, and as per the UGC norm, there is a research advisory committee. So the research advisory committee meets after every 6 months, or it may be more frequent in your institution, but at least once in 6 months, to assess the performance. So if you attach those RAC meeting minutes, that will be showing that you are having an active PhD student working. Otherwise, the assignment of a PhD student to you from an office order will be sufficient. But to reinforce that, you can add the RAC minutes also, showing that the person is active and he is not just a PhD student which is passive and just registered and left. So it requires only the evidence. It is not that you have guided the PhD, but this evidence will be during the assessment period. Then the next point is conducting minor or major research project sponsored by the national or international agencies. Again, this is important, and this may not be possible in colleges, but in university this is certainly an important thing, because university have got more component of research. So if you are having certain research projects, detail of the research project and the utilization certificate will be required, and then at least one single or joint publication in peer-reviewed UGC listed journal. So this is all 7 activity which is listed over here. And if you are involved in at least 3 of these activities, then your grade will be good. Any of these 3 activities. And of course, there is a lot of apprehension in the colleges that we don't have that much of facility. Therefore, the second point, which is satisfactory, if you are involved in 1 or 2 activity, then the grade is satisfactory. So this satisfactory grade, everybody can secure, because the B point, which is being discussed over here, will be at this point. Everybody will be actually involved in the examination and evaluation duty. So this will be contributing towards one of the 7 items listed over here in activity 2, and therefore everybody will be able to secure the satisfactory grade. If a person is not involved in any of these activities, then definitely this is not satisfactory. And then we need to calculate the overall grade in activity 2. the overall grade is good in teaching and satisfactory or good in 2. This is the activity 2, this is 1. So if a person is having a good grade in teaching and satisfactory or good in the activity 2 that we have talked about, then the overall grade is good. If a person is having satisfactory grade in the teaching, I'll revisit this. Satisfactory grade in teaching means that a person is engaging about 70 to 80% of the lectures. So if this is a satisfactory grade, then the person may have good or satisfactory grade in activity 2, overall grade will remain satisfactory. And if I have got anywhere unsatisfactory, then overall it will be unsatisfactory. This is a better table to explain actually. Teaching activity, that was activity 1, and the other activity, 7 activities. So if both of them are good, then of course the overall grade is good. If teaching is good, that is 70% classes you have taken, more than 70%, and you are involved in at least one activity, that is examination and evaluation, then also you are having a good grade, because teaching is important. You are sincerely teaching and taking the class. If a person is having satisfactory, probably this is 80%. This should be 80. Satisfactory is 70 to 80. 70 to 80. So if this is satisfactory, then I will have a good performance. If I am having a good performance, still the overall performance remains satisfactory. And if both of them are satisfactory, then overall performance is satisfactory. If unsatisfactory in any of the two, anywhere you are getting unsatisfactory, that means you have taken less than 70% of the classes, and you may be involved in a lot of administrative activities and all those things, but still it will be unsatisfactory. So minimum threshold is 70% of the classes in teaching and to be involved in examination and evaluation system. So if you are involved in that, you will get satisfactory grade. I hope the things are clear.
Yes, sir.
Ji, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
now we will be doing a bit of calculation over here, where the research part comes into picture, and then we will look into that. What are the requirements for each level? So the first thing that is required over here in the case of research is the publications that we are having in journal publication. You will can see over here that we have got 2 columns made separately: Faculty of Science, Engineering, Agriculture, Medical Sciences, Veterinary Sciences, and then Language, Humanities, Social Sciences, Arts, Library, Physical and Educational Sciences, Management, all these in another category. If a person publishes a paper in a peer-reviewed or UGC listed journal, then from these faculty he will get 8 points, and from the arts, social sciences, humanities, he will get 10 points per paper. But usually what we find is that paper is having more than one author. If a person is having a single authored paper, then this is the point that he will actually secure. But in the case of multiple authors,
okay, that's all.
If there are multiple authors, then we need to do some calculation.
Dr. Poonam, please
Please,
switch off
yes.
your mic.
So as I told you in the beginning that you need to look into the assessment period. So this paper was in assessment period, let us say. Then you need to look into the journal, whether it was a refereed journal, UGC listed journal or not, and whether it was having an impact factor or not. If it is a refereed journal without any impact factor, then 5 points will be augmented. If you were having a single author paper and you are from the history department, let us say, then 10 points plus 5 points if this was a refereed journal without an impact factor. If the impact factor was less than 1, then I will add 10 points over here. Instead of 5, it will be 10 points being added. So total point for the single author from the Department of History, let us say, will be 20. If the impact factor is between 2 and 5, of 1 and 2, then 15 points will be added. And between 2 and 5, 20 points. 5 and 10, 25 points. And greater than 10 is 30 points. So these are the points that will be augmented to the already said points depending upon which faculty you are, and assuming that you were a single author. But if you are having a paper which is having an additional author, you are a co-author of that, then in case of 2 authors, 70% of the total value of publication for each. So total value of publication, for example, if the impact factor was between or less than 1, I added 10 points. So 10 plus 10, I will have 20 points. So a single author from the history department will have 20 points. But if there were 2 authors for the same paper, then both will get 14 points each, 70% of that, which is 14 points each. If there are more than 2 authors, then 70% of the total value of the publication for principal author, first author, corresponding author, and 30% of the total value of publication for each of the joint authors. So if there are more than 2 authors, then you have to check your position, whether you are the first author or the principal author or you are the corresponding author. If you are falling in this category, then you can have 70% of the total points that was there. And if you are not falling in any one of these categories, then you will get 30% of it is more than 3 authors or more than 2 authors, and maybe I am the third author of that particular paper, and I am not the principal or the corresponding author as well. So I will get 6 points instead of 14 points. Hope it is clear.
सर
Yes, sir.
इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर कैसे पता चलेगा?
Impact factor, yes, this is very important, that whenever you publish any work or go to the website, because all the journals are now available on the web, the Thomson writer actually gives detail about the impact factor of those standard journals. So you need to go to that particular site, or the journals themselves, they mention on their website what is their impact factor. And that standard impact factor is being used. Many of those predatory journals, which take a lot of money from the authors and publish any sort of trash work, they say that the scientific impact factor, the world impact factor, and different names are there. They start saying that this is 10 or something like that. Those are all fake, and they are not considered as impact factor. So you should have a standard from your library. If you are having a subscription, then you will get details about what are the different impact factors of the journals which are actually publishing and actually approved by the UGC list. So it should be the Thomson Reuters one. Or if you go to the Scopus side also, maybe you had lectures from library science department, they would have told you about some of these things. So you will get an authentic impact factor from those sites. That is important. And please, if you get those things, take a printout of that and attach with the paper also. Usually, first or the cover page of the paper is required as a proof. Along with that, if you are claiming that it is a high impact factor journal, so try to get a screenshot or printout of that page which is stating this, so that the calculations can be verified from there. Or if not, if you have got a link of those, it should be mentioned. And if your university has got an online application form submission, then you could actually provide the web link of those journals so that it could be verified. But then again, there is a slight catch over here, which usually is not actually traced, but the impact factor of the journal changes with time. Every year you will have a different impact factor, slightly different. So ideally speaking, if my assessment period is last 5 years, and maybe I published in 2020, I should actually quote the impact factor of that journal in 2020, not today's impact factor. This is important, but I don't think that it is actually verified. People are not that strict. So, and it is also sometimes difficult to get those old records of impact factor. So that becomes a issue. So at least if you are having a latest impact factor, you can quote those things as proof. Then coming to the second point. Now, the column that was over here, 2 columns, which was for different faculties. Here in research paper publication, the points were different. But now onwards, you will find that I have not written those faculties over here because now the points are same. So irrespective of faculty, it is the same thing. Book authored, if you have authored a book which is from an international publisher, so you will get 12 points irrespective of faculty. If it is a national publisher, then you'll get 10 points. If you have edited a chapter in a book, then it is 5 points. If editor of a book by an international publisher, then it is 10 points. And it is national publisher, then it is 8 points. So all these publications again should fall in the assessment year that you are having. It is very important. So be sure that these are the year of publication. It is not that you communicated and then it was published. So year of publication is important. Now, many a times it is important to translate the work, and you do translate paper or book chapters in some Indian or foreign languages, or there may be some literature in Hindi or Sanskrit which you may translate into English or French or any other language. So if you are doing a chapter, then it is 3 points, and if you are doing a book, then it is 8 points. So this is also being promoted by the government of India, that we try to have translation of the original work which was there in Indian languages, or some international work which may be translated into Indian languages as well. Now,
Look, excuse me, sir. I have one
Yes,
question.
yes, please.
सर, अगर एडिटर होने के बजाय एडिटोरियल बोर्ड के मेंबर्स हैं तो उनको कितने मार्क्स मिलेंगे सर? सेम मार्क्स मिलेंगे या कुछ कम मिलेंगे?
अब इसके लिए देखिए कोई गाइडलाइन यूजीसी ने नहीं दी है. There is no guideline regarding this. But universities, they have developed their own method for assessment. And what they try to do is that editorial board, as you share the points in research paper, they try to evolve their own method to share points within the editorial board. So
Okay,
it
sir.
varies from university to university. Some may be very much lenient and say that, okay, editorial board, everybody will be given the same points. At some places, you may have division that, okay, there are so many chapters and it will be divided into members of the editorial board per chapter, this much point, multiply and divide, and then do the calculation. So there is no unique answer for this because the regulation, UGC regulation is silent about that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
So university,
Sir, I have also one question.
they do have their.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
सर अगर बुक में अगर सर जैसे पेपर्स में 2 या 2 से ज्यादा ऑथर्स हैं, सेम अगर बुक में अगर 4 ऑथर्स हों तो वहां पर भी पॉइंट का रेशियो कम हो जाएगा, सबको
जी
डिवाइड
जी
होने
जी.
के बाद?
यस यस यस.
सेम सर रिसर्च पेपर में जैसे हुआ था वैसे भी बुक में भी?
यस यस.
सर क्या ये बुक चैप्टर में भी लागू होती है? जैसे अगर कोई बुक चैप्टर एडिटेड बुक में 3 ऑथर ने लिखा है तो उनके भी जो आपने 5 नंबर बताए क्या वो भी इक्वल डिवाइड हो जाते हैं? उसके लिए कोई अलग रूल है?
As I said that the rule is not specifically there, but the universities have extended the rule of research paper to this section as well.
सर बुक चैप्टर इन एडिटेड बुक.
हाँ. Book chapter in edited book, it is possible that there may be 2 or 3 authors for that particular chapter. So the main corresponding author, there may be a person who is corresponding or the principal author. The last one may be just a sleeping partner like head of the department. So he may not get that much marks, maybe 30%, rest may get 40% of that, 70% of that. So 7 is 3.5 marks.
सर मैं एडीसी का फॉर्म भरा था जो इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी अफिलिएटेड कॉलेज है, तो मैं थर्ड आथर हूँ इस बुक चैप्टर में, तो उसने मुझे कोई नंबर नहीं साइन किया था, 0 दे दिया था. ऑटोमेटिकली वो नंबर दे रहे थे तो उसमें 0 मार्क्स दिए थे. थर्ड आथर हूँ.
एग्जैक्टली यही चीज हम कह रहे थे कि यूनिवर्सिटीज दे हैव डेवलप्ड देयर ओन क्राइटेरिया फॉर दिस. सो they may have some rules because the UGC regulation is not specifically categorizing these things. So some universities have extended the same rule which was there for research paper to book chapters also, but some may have devised their own rule and they may have done this as you are pointing out. So it is possible.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Now creation of ICT, the third point is the creation of ICT mediated teaching. So information and communication technology, this has come a big way, and after the COVID actually we have experienced that a lot of things, the web, and we have got a lot of online resources which helps in teaching and which helps in learning for the students also. So these resources have been developed by teachers itself. So those who have developed, they should be acknowledged in terms of some API points. And therefore the government of India has, or the UGC has acknowledged those things, that if you have developed some innovative pedagogy, then 5 points is there. If you have designed a new curricula or course, then 2 points for that. And now coming to the MOOCs, that is, if there is some open online courses that you have developed, which is 4 quadrant, 4 credit. 4 quadrant means that the course has got the audio video lectures, the course has got questions, sample questions, which the students should attempt. The course has got some electronic reading resources, the study materials. It has also got the discussion forums where the students can discuss the problem that they are facing with the teachers. So if these 4 quadrants are there and it is a course of 4 credit, then 20 marks will be there, 20 points will be there. And if it is less than 4 credit, then effectively it is 5 points per credit. So if it is a 2 credit course, then it will be 10. And it is important that it is a MOOCs one. We will have next point where we may have a bit of confusion. We'll clarify that. If a person has only developed one quadrant, or we have developed only one module of that particular lecture. So we may have different modules. One module which is of 4 quadrant. So usually you may have 4 units in a course, and 1 unit you have actually prepared, another unit somebody else have prepared. So you will get 5 points. Now, what is the proof? This is the question. You should try to, if you are having online material uploaded, try to have the screenshot with web address of the content that you were having. And if it is an online form, try to enter the web address where your course material is located. So try to insert the link over there so that it can be verified. If you are just working on one quadrant, you are writing the content of that particular subject. So you will get 2 points for each module, only for one quadrant. That means, let us say that somebody else was delivering lecture and you have actually prepared the aid or the teaching, which should be a written text material for the students for that particular module. So, or you have developed questions and corresponding answers or quizzes for that particular module. So that is one quadrant, so you get 2 points for that. If you are the coordinator of the MOOCs course, 4 credit, then it will be 8 points, or if it is less than 4 credit, so 2 points per credit. Now, D point is e-content development. Again, it is exactly the same thing, development of e-content 4 quadrant. Previously, if you see the C point over here, it is again MOOCs 4 quadrant, 20 points. And over here, it is e-content 4 quadrant and 12 point. Now, the difference is that this e-content is not available online freely to others. It is possible that you developed your lecture or all the 4 quadrants and it was on your university or college intranet for your own students or for the students of your college or university only, not from the outside world. So if that is the case, then these things apply, same as that previous one, but this is not online open course. This is only available to your university or college specifically. So that is the only difference, otherwise the content remains the same. So the outreach issue is there, that if you are just reaching out to your own students, not the other. The fourth is the research guidance, the PhD supervision. Both irrespective of the faculty, the marks same. 10 marks is for the degree awarded. again during the assessment period. Mind it, during the assessment period, and the award or the office order of the PhD being awarded must be attached as a proof. If the PhD thesis have been submitted in that assessment year, then you will have 5 points, and the submission letter that it has been submission, it must be attached as a proof. And if it is MPhil or PG dissertation, then 2 for the degree awarded. So it is awarded, no submission over here. If there is submission, no marks is there. So for degree awarded, it will be 2 marks. For the research project, 10 lakh, 10 points. And if it is less than 10 lakh, it is 5 points. This is specifically the completed research project during the assessment period. If the project is ongoing, usually the project is more than a year, usually. So you, for those years for which it was ongoing, you will have 5 points. If it is 10 lakh, if it is less than 10 lakh, 2 points. And consultancy is 3 points. Now, there is one clarification which is required, is that for the joint supervision, because sometimes we do have supervisors of PhD and co-supervisors. So whether both will get this 10 marks or not. If there are co-supervisors, then 70% of the total score for the supervisor and co-supervisor. That is, both of them will get 7 marks if the degree is awarded. It's not that both will get 10 marks, but it will be 7 marks if there is a co-supervisor. And if it is a joint project where you have got a principal investigator and a co-investigator, both, then the share will be 50%. So this will be, the marks mentioned over here will be actually reduced by 50%. It will be half. Mind it, the result of the consultancy that you are having should have the proper order that you have been granted this particular consultancy, or you have executed that consultancy project, or the ongoing project. So all those, if it is completed, then you will require a utilization certificate. UC will be required that you have completed the project. Then coming to the patent, if it is an international patent, 10 points. If it is a national patent, 7 points. If someone has written a policy document and which is accepted at the international level or at the central level or at the state level, each level you have got different marks. If there was a policy document internationally accepted and included in some of those policies, like the World Bank, the IMF, or the UNO, so 10 points for that. And
सर स्लाइड शो नहीं हो रहा है.
कौन आ गया सर?
yes, am I audible? Yeah.
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine, fine. And if you are having a policy document which is acceptable or accepted as a policy in a national level committee, for example, you were part of a UGC committee and your some recommendations were actually accepted by UGC and came as a policy, so you can claim those points. Or if it was at a state level, then 4 points will be there. If there is an international award or fellowship, then it is 7 points. If it is a national one, then it is 5 points. But these national and international awards should be from some reputed professional agencies. Now, many of those agencies are there which take money and give award. So those sort of things are usually rejected by those screening committees. Now, about the invited lectures where you have worked as a resource person or you have presented some paper in a conference or seminar or workshop, if it is at an international level and that conference is outside India, then it is 7 points. If it is an international conference but within India, then it is 5 points. If it is a national conference, then it is 3 points. And if it is a state level or your university level, college level thing, then it is 2 points. Now, what is important to note is sometimes we think that, okay, I will publish so many papers in these conferences very easily, and then I can add only if it is national one 3 points and 10 papers, all those, and then I will get 30 points. So UGC has said that for the purpose of calculating the research score of a teacher, the combined research score of category 5B, that is policy document, and 6 invited lectures, presentations and all those, will have an upper capping of 30% of the total research score of the teacher concerned. So total point, if you were having 100, let us say, out of these calculations that we are talking about, you cannot have more than 30 points from that policy document and this invited lecture or resource person. So there is a 30% capping, you cannot go above this one. Also, the research score shall have a minimum of 3 out of 6 categories. So the country from minimum of 3 categories out of the 6. It's not that I started publishing in journal only, and from that journal publication I secured all those points which was required. No, it will not be the case, but you have to have the contribution coming from minimum of 3 categories. It cannot be 0 in other 5 and 1 which is fulfilling the entire thing. So that was all about the calculations that we were having. And then now we can talk about the requirement at different level, assistant professor level, let us say, eligibility and the promotion criteria, about the points that we have talked about. So for the promotion at the assistant professor level, when we are moving from level 10 to level 11, that is the senior scale, then 4 years of service with PhD or 5 years of service with MPhil or PG degree, or in the case of professional courses, LLM, MTech will be considered, and 6 years of service for those without MPhil, PhD, PG degree in professional courses, and a minimum of 1 research publication during the assessment period for university teachers, not for college, but for university teacher. So 1 research publication is required. This is the eligibility. And then the promotion, then only you can apply actually. Then about the promotion, the satisfactory or good grade in the annual performance assessment report for at least 3, 4, or 5 year for the. So let us take an example that somebody is with PhD and he is at level 10 and completed 4 years of service, and he is now applying for level 11. So 4 years out of those 4 years, he must secure good or satisfactory grade in 3 years. 1 year can be unsatisfactory. So the activity 1 and 2 that we were talking about, if a person gets satisfactory grade for all the 4 years, no problem at all. If you get good or satisfactory for 3 years, then also there is no problem. But if it is less than 3 years, then there is a problem. Similarly, if the promotion requires 5 years of assessment period, then out of those 5 years, 4 years you should have good or satisfactory grade in activity 1 and 2. And then you don't require any selection committee. There is a screening cum evaluation committee which will go through the claims that you have made and the research paper that you have submitted for the the university teacher, and it will be automatically done. So no physical presence of the candidate is required. Therefore, it is essential that the documentation and the proof should be perfect. Additional requirement, of course, as you know, is attended one orientation course on teaching methodology. Then in the second, any one of the following, that is completed a refresher or a research methodology course, or any two of the following over here, workshop or syllabus upgradation workshop or training, teacher learning evaluation, technology program, faculty development program of at least 1 week, 5 days duration. So 5 days duration, 2 will be required. Or, so there is a or in between all these 3. Or you have got 1 MOOCs courses with e-certification or development of e-content in 4 quadrant MOOC courses during the assessment period. If you have done this one, then also you are eligible. For the university, same thing is required as above, but there is a third requirement of 1 research paper that I have mentioned earlier. Now, for the case of assistant professor, that is level 11 senior scale, to selection grade, that is level 12. The eligibility or the experience that you will require at the level 11 is 5 years at level 11. PhD level is required. And again, because 5 years is their assessment period, out of this 5 years, at least 4 years you should have good or satisfactory in appendix 2 table 1 that we have talked about, activity 2 and 1. And then 3 research publication in peer reviewed journal, UGC listed journal during the assessment period for university teachers. And again, promotion recommended by the screening cum evaluation committee. So this is for the case of college, any 2 of the following in the last 5 years, because 5 years was the assessment period, and completed the course work program or refresher course, syllabus upgradation, all these skill course, at least 2 weeks or 10 days duration, or 2 courses of 1 week, 5 days duration. So, or the MOOCs one that we have talked about earlier. So this is the requirement for colleges, and for the university, all these requirements as above is present along with these 2. That is the PhD degree in the concerned subject, allied relevant discipline, and 3 publications will be required. Then the promotion from level 12 to associate professor, that is 13A, which is again open for direct recruitment as well. So here 3 years of experience is required at the previous level, that is 12. PhD degree, minimum of 7 publications in the peer-reviewed UGC resident, with 3 publications shall be published during the assessment period. This is important. And because the assessment period is over here 3 years, so you should have a satisfactory or good grade in the assessment period of 2 years you should have. So out of the 3 years, 2 years you should have satisfactory or good grade. And based on the table 1, the research score of at least 70 for the CA, 75 for the direct recruitment will be required. And this promotion will be the recommendation through a selection committee constituted as per the UGC regulation. So now, earlier all the levels were actually through the screening committee, but now this will be through the selection committee, and therefore it is possible that if it is a direct clear post, then you may have direct recruitment, or there can be a promotion as well through career advancement scheme. During the last 3 years, during the assessment period, again, one course or program of refresher course, research methodology workshop, syllabus upgradation, teaching learning, or faculty development program, at least 2 weeks or 10 days, or 2 courses of 1 week each, or development of the MOOCs course, as it was required previous case, it is required here as well. So this is at each stage, training and upgradation of the skill is required. This is for the promotion to the professor level. If you want, I can go through this as well. 3 years of service at associate professor level, that is level 13A. Again, this is through direct recruitment also, as well as through promotion through career advancement scheme. 10 minimum publication is required. 3 research papers should be published during the assessment period. And requirement of 120 for direct recruitment, 110 points for the career advancement scheme. Here additionally, because there are 3 years of assessment is required, out of these 3 years, 2 years satisfactory or good performance is required in that 2 activities that we have talked about. Again, it will be through the selection committee constituted by the university, and merely having all these points or minimum eligibility criteria, fulfilling all those things, may not guarantee that a person is actually promoted. Senior professor level, there is no need for this one. We are actually nearing the end of time. 5 minutes is left. So if you want, I can go into the details of shortlisting criteria, or if you want some questions, then we can have questions.
Yes, sir.
Should I proceed with the shortlisting criteria?
So I have a question.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Sir, I'm Dr. Snehata from Lucknow. I just want to know about this. If I want to make a e-content in a MOOC or e-Pathshala, so there is any kind of take permission from the department or from the university itself?
It is desirable that you should take permission from the university, because you will be actually contributing into the area where you will be using resources of the university or the department. So morally and ethically, it is logical that you should take permission that you are actually an employee of the university, and the university says that you are a full-time employee, means 24 hours employee of the university. University can call you anytime. So if you are involved in any one of these activities, it is better to inform and take permission. Nobody will stop you, for sure. But it is better.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. But it means from my department in the university, I have to take admission from the HOD. Then I'll just do the MOOC or e-Pathshala or any other type of e-content on the university.
Yes. Because
Okay, thank you
that
so much.
actually helps you, your department also. It is not only helping you when you are having a NAC visit in the university or any other visit like this, from those professional bodies which are doing accreditation. So they will acknowledge and see that, okay, this content is being developed and uploaded by a faculty member of the department. So it gives a positive impression about the department as well as the university. So
So
that
we
is
are not
most welcome.
we are not from the proper university. We have a affiliated college. So
Yes, no problem. So your university also gives funding to the colleges based upon the performance, isn't it? So if your college is showing a progress in ICT development of courses, MOOCs courses, then they will say that, okay, this is the activity, and probably your principal can ask for more fund to develop infrastructure and provide you better facilities to develop e-contents in more effective way.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yes.
Sir, मैं ये
from university. Sorry. Shanky sir, please. Sorry.
नहीं मैं आप बोलिए
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir,
Thank you very much.
कि जो असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर का लेवल 10 से 11 सर जो प्रोसीजर है उसमें, तो सर अगर 3 इयर्स या 4 इयर्स लगते हैं, तो उसके बाद जब अपग्रेड हो जाता है, ग्रेडेशन हो जाता है, उसके बाद सर एसोसिएट बनने में कितना टाइम लगता है सर? जब ग्रेड लेवल चेंज हो जाएगा उसके बाद से फिर 4 इयर्स या सर टोटल?
हाँ, उसके बाद से no new level. If you are there in this level, then you have to actually go from those levels. See, specifically when we are assistant professor grade 12 to grade 13A, you are going. So selection grade, if you are there, you will require 3 years in that particular grade. So these are over and above those things. So when you are promoted to new grade, the assessment period will be in that particular grade itself. It won't be from those lower grades retrospectively. No.
लेवल 13A तक आना है, उसके बाद फिर जो है असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर के लिए जो है ट्राई।
जी, आप सिलेक्शन ग्रेड पे जब लेवल 12 पे रहेंगे तो उसके बाद आप 13A पे जा सकते हैं।
ओके
डायरेक्टली, मगर लेवल 12 पे आपको 3 साल का एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए होगा। असेसमेंट पीरियड 3 साल का आपका, उसमें आपके पब्लिकेशन के ये स्कोर होने चाहिए, 70 टोटल पॉइंट्स आना चाहिए, और 3 साल में 2 साल आपके पास सेटिस्फैक्ट्री या गुड होना चाहिए। ये तो आप एलिजिबल होंगे अप्लाई करने के लिए, और इसके लिए फिर सिलेक्शन कमेटी होगी। तो सिलेक्शन कमेटी विल बी actually carried out by the university, so the university will have that selection committee. But if you are eligible and you qualify that, then whatever was your eligibility date, from that particular eligibility date you will be considered.
Okay sir, okay, thank you sir.
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, आई एम सैंकी रोहेला, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर MLK PG कॉलेज बलरामपुर। सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर मान लीजिए हमारी PhD करते हुए जॉब लग जाती है, ठीक है, जैसे सर मेरी हायर एजुकेशन में लगी थी, तो अगर मैं जॉब करते हुए रिसर्च पेपर मेरे आते हैं PhD के, तो वो काउंट होंगे कि नहीं?
जॉब करते हुए आपके PhD में पेपर्स आते हैं?
हाँ सर, जैसे मेरे PhD करते हुए जॉब लग गई थी, ठीक है, और 2 साल हो चुके हैं ज्वाइन करे हुए, तो जितने भी मेरे रिसर्च पेपर आए हैं, 3 रिसर्च पेपर आफ्टर ज्वाइनिंग आए, तो वो मेरे काउंट होंगे कि नहीं जॉब के लिए?
जॉब के लिए काउंट होंगे बिल्कुल, इसलिए कि आपने जब वो पेपर कम्युनिकेट किया, देन यू वुड हैव पुट दैट यू आर वर्किंग इन दिस पर्टिकुलर कॉलेज और यूनिवर्सिटी। तो वो आपके सर्विस के दौरान थे, आपका असेसमेंट पीरियड में था, तो वो अगर डेट ऑफ पब्लिकेशन आपके पेपर की उस असेसमेंट पीरियड में आ रही है तो वो काउंट होगी, इट विल बी देयर, इट विल बी।
ओके सर, बस ये सर थोड़ा सा डाउट था। थैंक यू सर।
सर इसी तरीके का एक और मेरे डाउट है, आई वांट टू इंक्लूड माय डाउट आल्सो। सर मेरा ये है कि जैसे कि मैंने टॉपिक पे काम किया अपने PhD के दौरान, वो कोई और है, और अभी मैं जिसपे पढ़ा रही हूँ, जो भी मेरे सिलेबस है, तो क्या उससे जरूरी है कि उसे लिंक्ड होना चाहिए आपका टॉपिक, जो भी पब्लिश कर रहे हैं कहीं से भी कर सकते? Sir, you get it my point or not?
बीच बीच में आवाज जरा से चली गई थी। आप ये पूछना चाह रहे हैं कि आप अगर पब्लिश कर रहे हैं नॉट रिलेटेड टू योर पीएचडी वर्क, तो एपीआई में इंक्लूड होगा वो
कोई
वो तो मेरा एक पर्टिकुलर नैरो टॉपिक है, और अभी मैं जब पढ़ा रही हूँ तो मेरे पास बहुत वेरियस एस्पेक्ट्स है उसमें पब्लिश करने को, तो क्या वो कहीं भी हम किसी भी एस्पेक्ट में कर सकते हैं, वो हमारे काउंट होगा एपीआई में या हमारे कहीं भी करियर एडवांसमेंट में, और कि नहीं?
नहीं, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल काउंट होगा। आप पूरा अपना रिसर्च का एरिया, पीएचडी किसी में था और आप अपना एरिया बाद में चेंज कर सकते हैं। वो इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी दैट यू स्टिक टू योर पीएचडी टॉपिक ओनली। हमने खुद पीएचडी किया था स्पीच रिकग्निशन में, और अब हम काम कर रहे हैं बायोमेडिकल सिग्नल प्रोसेसिंग में, तो स्पीच से एकदम बायोमेडिकल में आ गए, तो वो सब काउंट होगा। रिसर्च इंपॉर्टेंट है, इट इज नॉट दैट द एरिया यू हैव टू स्टिक टू। और आप डाइवर्सिफाई करते हैं, जैसे जैसे टाइम चेंज होता है तो यू चेंज योर रिसर्च एरिया। और थ्रस्ट एरिया नया आ गया, आपने अपने आप को चेंज कर लिया, थ्रस्ट एरिया में कर लिया, और आपको फिर स्टूडेंट भी नहीं मिलते पुराने बहुत एरिया में, तो आपको चेंज करना पड़ता है। तो वो सब पब्लिकेशन आपके काउंट होंगे। रिसर्च पब्लिकेशन होना चाहिए, एंड यू शुड बी एक्चुअली इन द लिस्ट ऑफ ऑथर्स। ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। वो पब्लिकेशन ऐसा हो सकता है कि अगर हमने मान लीजिए पीएचडी, जैसे अभी बता रहे थे कि पीएचडी वो कर रहे हैं और वो पढ़ा भी रहे हैं, अब पढ़ाते में आपने कोई पब्लिकेशन किया जो कि पीएचडी टॉपिक से रिलेटेड नहीं है, तो वो पीएचडी में नहीं काउंट होगा, आपके पीएचडी पब्लिकेशन में नहीं काउंट होगा, मगर आपके रिसर्च पब्लिकेशन में काउंट होगा जो आपके एपीआई प्रमोशन में होगा। डू यू गेट द पॉइंट?
ओके सर, ओके, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू।
और सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है, रिसर्च के दौरान अगर जो मैं टॉपिक से हट के कोई अगर जो कोई पेपर पब्लिश कराते हैं तो क्या है वो मतलब काउंट होगा सर?
पीएचडी में नहीं काउंट होगा। पीएचडी में ऑब्जेक्शन हो सकता है कि आपके जो पब्लिकेशन है वो पीएचडी के एरिया में पब्लिश होना चाहिए, और उसमें भी कुछ जो इवैल्यूएटर्स ऑब्जेक्ट करते हैं कि यू शुड बी द फर्स्ट ऑथर बिकॉज दैट इज योर रिसर्च वर्क, so you should be the first author, and and sometimes people, when they are very strict, they say that we will not consider review papers because this is not a research. कहीं कंसिडर करते हैं मगर कहीं नहीं भी करते, तो यूनिवर्सिटी टू यूनिवर्सिटी वेरी करता है, मगर आपका ये सब पब्लिकेशन आपके एपीआई में काउंट होगा, ये दैट इज फॉर श्योर।
यस सर, थैंक यू सर।
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर, मैं भी सर जॉब में रहते हुए पीएचडी कर रहा हूँ सर, तो मेरा जो आर्टिकल आया यूजीसी के लिस्ट में आया, लेकिन वो एज ए रिसर्च स्कॉलर आया है, उसमें असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर नहीं है लिखा हुआ, तो वो उसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा सिलेक्शन में?
नहीं, तो रिसर्च स्कॉलर में लिखा हुआ है, मगर वो पब्लिश किस ईयर में हुआ?
पब्लिश सर अभी अप्रैल 2024।
तो वो आपका असेसमेंट पीरियड में है?
जी जी सर।
अच्छा, तो उसमें रिसर्च स्कॉलर आपने, अच्छा, और मगर एफिलिएशन भी आपने फिर क्या लिखा?
पोस्ट तो लिख कर दी थी सर मैंने, लेकिन उन्होंने जो आर्टिकल में जो नाम लिखा है तो नीचे रिसर्च स्कॉलर लिखा है, पोस्ट नहीं लिखी, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर में।
अच्छा, नहीं पोस्ट नहीं लिखी, मगर आपका आप जिस कहाँ से पीएचडी कर रहे हैं उसी यूनिवर्सिटी में वहीं पढ़ा रहे हैं आप?
जी सर, उसी यूनिवर्सिटी में वहीं पढ़ा रहा हूँ, मतलब मैं कॉलेज में हूँ, यूनिवर्सिटी कोटा है और कॉलेज पीजी कॉलेज झालावाड़ है।
तो अब देखिए ये थोड़ा सा ट्रिकी क्वेश्चन है कि वो रिसर्च स्कॉलर हैं और आपका कायदे से तो आपका वो कंसिडर करना चाहिए, इन माय ओपिनियन। यू डोंट हैव a clear cut actually verdict from the UGC regulation, but I guess that because you are actually doing teaching and you are having the assessment period during which you have actually published, so that should be considered as publication, research publication, because this has nothing to do with API, has nothing to do with PhD. It has to do with research publication only. So that is a research publication irrespective whether it is in line with the PhD thesis or not. Whether it is as a research scholar or is it as a supervisor, but it is a publication.
सर एक और ये था, जैसे अभी आपने सिलेक्शन स्केल हमारे राजस्थान में 4 ईयर में दी जा रही है, सिलेक्शन स्केल है वो 4 ईयर में दी जा रही है, जो पीएचडी है, और एमफिल है तो 5 ईयर में, और नॉन पीएचडी तो 6 ईयर में दी जा रही है।
जी जी जी
ठीक है सर। ओके
सर, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर से सीनियर असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर के लिए टाइम ड्यूरेशन 4 साल है कि 6 साल?
वो अभी बताया ना कि वो लेवल आपका जो बता रहे हैं, ये डिपेंड कर रहा है कि आपकी क्वालिफिकेशन क्या है।
जी जी।
अगर आप ये स्लाइड नंबर मेरे समझ से 42 स्लाइड पे हमने बताया था कि लेवल 10 से लेवल 11 जाने के लिए असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर लेवल 10 टू सीनियर स्केल लेवल 11, ये पूछ रहे हैं आप?
सर ये पीपीटी शेयर करवा दीजिए सर, तो थोड़ा सा
ये सब शेयर हो जाएगी। जी जी
ठीक है।
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन और था सर, प्लीज।
सर इसी स्लाइड से मेरा एक
पीएचडी
प्रश्न
से
है।
अगर पीएचडी से पहले मैंने कोई पीएचडी से पहले कोई पेपर पब्लिश हुआ है तो क्या वो एपीआई में इंक्लूड होगा सर?
पीएचडी से पहले आपका पेपर पब्लिश हुआ है, मगर आपका वो असेसमेंट पीरियड में है कि नहीं? सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज एपीआई के लिए असेसमेंट पीरियड है।
जी जी जी।
तो असेसमेंट पीरियड में इंक्लूड हो रहा है कि नहीं वो आपके?
नो सर।
हाँ, तो फिर असेसमेंट पीरियड में नहीं है तो फिर वो नहीं इंक्लूड होगा।
बहुत पहले का है सर।
हाँ नहीं, फिर वो दैट विल नॉट बी इंक्लूड।
थैंक यू
सर इसी स्लाइड से मेरा प्रश्न है, इसमें है कि प्रोफेशनल कोर्सेज के लिए 5 ईयर्स चाहिए 10-11 लेवल 10 से 11 के लिए। तो सर मेरा एमएड है, तो क्या मैं इसमें एलिजिबल हूँगा 5 ईयर्स में? एमएड के बेस पे सर, इसमें मेंशन नहीं है, एलएलएम है, एमटेक है।
हाँ, अब मैं समझ से तो शायद होना चाहिए इसके अंदर एमएड, बट स्पेसिफिकली इट इज नॉट मेंशन्ड ओवर हियर।
जी सर, जी सर, जी सर।
प्रोफेशनल उसमें आता तो है एमएड।
हाँ सर, होना चाहिए, क्योंकि पीएचडी के बाद 6 साल लगेंगे और विदाउट पीएचडी हम 5 साल कर सकते हैं।
यू कैन
1 ईयर
ऑलवेज
का लॉस
अप्लाई फॉर
होगा।
दैट।
जी सर, ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
अब
सर,
आई हैव
मेरा
गॉट
प्रश्न
अनदर
है।
मीटिंग एक्चुअली एट।
सर एक प्रश्न मेरा है लास्ट।
जी जी।
सर ये जो पीजी में डिजर्टेशन का आया हुआ है, जैसे आपने बताया था कि 2 नंबर पर ये स्टूडेंट है, तो जैसे हम लोग सर डिजर्टेशन कराए हैं बट इंटरनल एग्जामिनर और एक्सटर्नल एग्जामिनर नहीं बनाए गए हैं, तो क्या हम लोग को उसका लाभ मिलेगा? सुपरवाइजर तो सर अलॉटेड है।
हाँ नहीं, उसमें इस तरीके का कोई रेगुलेशन में तो नहीं कहा हुआ है डिजर्टेशन के लिए कि इंटरनल एक्सटर्नल, पीएचडी के लिए है, मगर
अच्छा।
इसके लिए कोई इस तरीके की रूलिंग नहीं है।
अगर सर हम सुपरवाइजर हैं तो हमें उसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा सर, चाहे इंटरनल।
आप अगर सुपरवाइजर हैं तो उसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा।
तो सर
क्या
सर
ये
सुपरवाइजर साक्ष्य भी लगाना पड़ेगा?
कोई फॉरवर्डेड लेटर बनवा ली इसका?
हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। आप जो है वो जब भी जैसे आपका डिसर्टेशन का वाइवा होने वाला है, आप ये कर सकते हैं हेड एचओडी से कि भाई नोटिफिकेशन जो करते हैं उसके अंदर बता दें अंडर द सुपरविजन ऑफ दिस, या बच्चा जब वो अपना एक सर्टिफिकेट लेता है कि हमारा फॉर्मेलिटी सब कंप्लीट हो गई, तो वो सर्टिफिकेट लेता है, उसमें लिख दें कि all the formalities have been completed, he has completed the dissertation work under the supervision। और अगर आप हायर लेवल पे जाते हैं तो डिसर्टेशन की कॉपी तो आपके पास रहती है, जिसके ऊपर की आपकी साइन होती है और हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट की साइन होगी, वो सब रहती है, वो तो प्रूफ रहता है।
लेकिन सर इस समय जो चल रहा है उसका रूप दूसरा है सर। जैसे बच्चे रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं, डिसर्टेशन चाहे रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट, उसके ऐसा कोई नहीं है कि उसको साक्ष्य के रूप में इकट्ठा किया जा सके सर?
नहीं रखा जा रहा है सर, 2-2 कॉपी डिपार्टमेंट में रखी जा रही है, 2 कॉपी सबमिट कर रहे हैं।
लेकिन सर क्वालिटी वाइज उसको अगर देखा जाए तो उसे मना कर दिया जाएगा आगे चलकर, उस स्तर का नहीं है।
वो सर अलग
नहीं,
इशू है।
तो वो आपका डिसर्टेशन जो है वो क्रेडिट वाला होना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं कि वो अपने तौर पे बच्चे को करा रहे हैं बहुत सी चीजें और वो उसके कोई क्रेडिट नहीं है, तो फिर उसका कोई प्रूफ नहीं होगा, ना ही वो हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट लिख के देगा। आपका
उसका क्रेडिट तो वो पा रहा है सर, उसका क्रेडिट वो पा रहा है सर, लेकिन जिस स्तर का कराया जा रहा है, जैसे हर सेमेस्टर में हो गया है, बच्चे भी उसको बहुत एजुअल ले रहे हैं।
तो अब वो आपकी बात एकदम सही है। लेवल के बारे में तो फिर बहुत मुश्किल होता है, किसी के लेवल को हम चैलेंज करें या कोई और चैलेंज करे, तो इट इज अ डिफिकल्ट थिंग एक्चुअली।
तो सर इसका जैसे कोई लेटर अगर हम सिर्फ ले ले रहे हैं तो उससे काम चल जाएगा?
हाँ बिल्कुल, आप यूनिवर्सिटी के डिपार्टमेंट की अथॉरिटी से लेटर ले लीजिए और लगाइए बिल्कुल। मतलब विदाउट लेटर तो नहीं काम चलेगा। लेटर लगा देंगे तो पॉसिबिलिटी है कि उसको वो कंसिडर कर लें।
सर जो कमेटी बनती है उसमें जैसे जो कमेटी में हम लोग मेंबर्स होते हैं तो उसका लेटर हम लोग को मिलता है, तो क्या वो हम लोग जैसे कल्चरल कमेटी में है, स्पोर्ट बोर्ड्स में है, तो क्या सर का जो लेटर हम लोग को मिलता है वो हम लोग लगाएंगे तो उसका एवेल्युएट होगा, हम लोग का एवेल्युएशन होगा?
बिल्कुल लगाइए, बिल्कुल वो होना चाहिए। हाँ, वो आप जिस कमेटी में है वो लेटर लगाइए और वो कीजिए।
ओके सर, ये तो नहीं हो कि आप अभी चूंकि हम लोग अभी 2 साल या 3 साल हो रहा तो आप एज अ मेंबर है, कोऑर्डिनेटर नहीं है, तो इसका तो कोई फर्क नहीं है?
अब ये फिर अब आपके डिपार्टमेंट के ऊपर यूनिवर्सिटी की पॉलिसी के ऊपर आ गया कि वो क्या वो उसको एकदम से 0 कर देते हैं या कुछ पॉइंट रिड्यूस करते हैं।
अच्छा
जी
ओके, थैंक यू।
मगर आप जैसे एक्स्ट्रा जो एक्टिविटीज वाले में इन्वॉल्वमेंट वाली बात है उसमें पॉइंट नहीं है। उसमें तो आपने कहा कि हम जो है ये एक्टिविटी में इन्वॉल्व थे, जैसे एनएसएस के लिए हुआ या आपने कोई ऑर्गेनाइज जी इस तरीके की ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमेटी में आप थे, तो वो
वुमेन सेल में है, तो सब जैसे
एग्जैक्टली तो उसके अंदर तो आपका इन्वॉल्वमेंट है या नहीं है तो उसके लिए बस ये है कि आप यू वर एक्चुअली इन्वॉल्व एंड दैट इज वन एक्टिविटी इन विच यू हैव एक्चुअली पार्टिसिपेटेड, तो दिस शुड बी एक्चुअली अकाउंटेड फॉर।
ओके तो सर ये प्रिंसिपल सर से या जो अथॉरिटी होगी वो लेटर हमें देगा?
वो लेटर देगा। जैसे कमेटी बनती है कि भाई आपका स्पोर्ट्स इवेंट हो रहा है तो ये टीचर्स जो हैं ये इसको मैनेज करेंगे, लुक आफ्टर करेंगे, तो वो आपके लिए लेटर है।
जी वो सर है, लेकिन जैसे आप कहना कि वो दूसरा लेटर भी होना चाहिए कि हाँ इन्होंने ये पार्टिसिपेट किया और ऐसा
हाँ वो कर लीजिए आप। एग्जामिनेशन ड्यूटीज के लिए स्पेसिफिकली चीजें होती हैं, वो सब वो करवा लीजिए, वो बेहतर रहता है। इसलिए कि हो सकता हो कि आप अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी में प्रूफ लगा रहे हो इस तरीके की चीजें, दूसरी जगह वो चीजें इंटरटेन उस तरीके से ना हो, आपके पास प्रूफ रहेगा प्रॉपर तो बेहतर है।
जी सर, ओके, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू सो मच
थैंक यू
सर,
सर।
बहुत ही इंफॉर्मेटिव सर।
थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you. I have to rush to another meeting.
Thank you,
actually.
sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, please share your PPT, sir.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much.
Hello.